Assalamu alaikum everyone. First of all, thank you for joining us today in our today's webinar session. We are very honored to have Mr. Mubashir Husain Rehmani joining us today as our esteemed guest speaker. His expertise and insights will definitely enlighten and inform our audiences in today's discussion, inshallah. Aziz. Quickly letting you know about Mr. Mubashir Husain Rehmani, although he is we don't have to introduce him, although, but still, just for the formalities, Mr. Mubashir Hussain Rehmani is a Pakistani researcher and computer scientist, and his areas of work are computer networking, telecommunication, wireless communication, and blockchain. He was recognized in 2020, 2021, and 2022 as one of the highly cited researchers in computer society by Clarivate. He received his bachelor's in engineering degree in computer system engineering from Mehran University of Engineering and Technology. He has completed his master's degree in networks and telecommunication from University of Paris, France. And then afterward, he has completed his PhD in computer science from Sorbonne University, France. He worked as a postdoctoral researcher in Waterford Institute of Technology. Currently, Mr. Mubashir Husain Rehmani is teaching in Department of Computer Science at Munster Technological University in Cornwall, Ireland. We have a very long list of Mr. Hossaini's awards and the recognition he has gained during his lifetime or his ongoing journey. Just a few of them are like in 2021, Dr. Rehmani has won the Exemplary Editor Award of IEEE Communication Surveys and Tutorial given by IEEE Communication Society. In 2021, Rehmani won the Clarivate Highly Cited Researcher Award, recognizing him as top 1% in the world in crossfield. Similarly, in 2020, 2021, and 2022, Mr. Rehmani has won the Clarivate Highly Cited Researcher Award, recognizing him as top 1% in the world in computer sciences. And then Mr. Hussain is also the editor-in-chief of Elsewhere Journal of Network and Computer Application, awarded him the Best Survey Paper Award in 2018 and a cash prize. Apart from this, Mr. Hussaini has a long list of national awards, including the Best Research Paper Award from HEC, then the awards for Pakistan Council for Science and Technology, and it's a long list as I have explained or told the audience in the start of the session. So, sir, thank you very much for sparing the time today. We believe our team and viewers are going to learn a lot from today's session, especially what is the importance of research in education. So, sir, to quickly start the session, we will start with the advice from your side, actually. Like you are having a very successful ongoing journey. What are the main elements required to be a successful researcher?
Thank you so much, Naman, for inviting me for this talk. And it is my pleasure to talk with the audience today. So as far as the advice is concerned, the advice that I normally give to students or young researchers is that focus on their research work. Okay, do not go for any intimation or any shortcuts. Just try to focus on their core research, and with the passage of time, when they follow the right path and follow the ethical practices, inshallah, they will be successful in the long run.
Inshallah. So, sir, like you have said, the focus. The word focus is something which is a very important. Like if we start a debate on it, so we see that the lack of focus is one of the main problem in our youth. So, what is the advice to overcome this issue actually? Like we see that our youth is very much fragmented. Like their focus is not limited to the very specific streamlines. Rather, they try to do the shortcut for a certain period of time in one domain, then in another domain, and it continues. So, what is the way forward to overcome these issues in Pakistan?
So, in order to acquire focus, one needs to schedule their daily routine. They have a daily routine. Try to make a schedule and try to follow that schedule, and do not go here and there besides that schedule. This is the main thing that helps them to get themselves the most of productivity. This is the first thing. Second thing is that try to get excellence in their own field of interest. First, determine which is their own particular interest, whether it's programming or robotics or graphic designing, or whatever field they are interested to pursue. And then do not switch your knowledge areas. Just focus on one particular area and try to become excel in that, try to achieve excellence, so that people around the globe knows that this is the person. If when we talk about a particular aspect or particular technology or particular field, they
Yes.
say that you are the right person, for you are the excellent expertise around the globe, so try to achieve excellence in that.
Okay, so wonderful. Like there's no doubt, like the professional excellence is the key to be a successful person in any field of life. As you have said, like whenever the youth is actually encouraged to pursue their careers in you can say in any domain, and they are asked to achieve excellence, they come up with certain you can say feedback regarding the ecosystem that exists around them. Like they say, no, Pakistan is not the right ecosystem to exercise your passion or achieve the professional excellency. So, what do you think? Like, what is your viewpoint that Pakistan as an ecosystem for a very good research or impactful research?
Well, there are definitely issues there in Pakistan, but these issues cannot be avoided abroad as well. If you go to
Okay,
US or Canada, or in any other European country, you may find some challenges there as well. The nature of challenges will be different. In Pakistan, we have a different set of challenges, while abroad we have a different set of challenges. So you cannot escape your life without dealing with,
no,
with the challenges. Now, the person,
exactly.
a good person, is the one who try to face those challenges, and instead
Yes.
of just stuck on the journey of life, they try to find alternative ways to overcome those challenges. So in the context of Pakistan, if you are an undergraduate student or doing bachelor's, okay, bachelor's in
Okay.
engineering or any other domain, try to focus on your undergraduate studies. During undergraduate studies, do not try to take extra courses. Just try to focus and
Okay.
achieve higher CGPA, higher grades in your undergraduate studies. Try to understand what has been taught during the 4 years of degree, and try to achieve excellence in those subjects. Because if you skip yourself from those studies for the short time, you may get some benefit. For example, you may um, earn some money doing some part-time jobs or online jobs, but that may not be productive in the long run. So for undergraduate students, my suggestion will be focus on their own studies, try to achieve higher marks, try to understand what has been taught to them during their studies.
Okay, that's wonderful. So it is a very good advice. Like if we say that in Pakistan, yes, this is a continuous issue, but I believe that the issue of focus do not only comes from the individual, but I believe that our systems are a bit you can say confused in this part. Like there are all the universities, all the top-notch universities even have you can say programs for undergraduates to actually excel in freelancing along with engineering. We have been seeing this issue for a long in Pakistani universities. Like in every university, the freelance is termed as either with graphic designing or particularly few other two or three highly paid skills. But what about doing freelancing in your own undergraduation? So this is the impact we are missing. But at the same time, as you have said, like there are challenges for everyone in every country, not only in Pakistan. So you have been in both like in foreign and in Pakistan as well. So the nature of problems, do you think that these are quickly overcomable within very small period of time, like a short-term strategy for impactful research in Pakistan?
First we need to understand that, let's say for a second, if we say that, okay, all the engineering universities and all the IT universities or all other universities, we make the students to do freelancing.
Yes.
Will By doing that, will we compete with, let's say, developed countries like US or Canada or UK? No, we have to focus on the fundamental research, scientific research. And fundamental scientific research is far different from these freelancing or skills that we normally do during the undergraduate studies. So we need to differentiate between these two things. We
Good.
cannot uh, receive Nobel Prize based on working
Yes.
on Canva, or making TikTok videos or something like that. We have to, although we can earn some money, uh, we can uh, we can sustain ourselves, but this is a short term solution. If we want a sustainable scientific development in our country, we need to focus on the core scientific values, on core scientific research, and we need to differentiate. And the basic degree for core scientific research is PhD. Prior to that, before PhD, you cannot do international level scientific research. PhD is the degree that helps you to learn how you can conduct scientific research. So that
Okay.
is one thing. Then once you learn how to conduct scientific research, then your actual journey starts. And then you need to compete with the international world, and you need to work on scientific problems in your domain. And then the real challenge comes with the researchers in Pakistan and abroad. You have a lot of difficulties. For example, uh, uh, the main thing is peace of mind. For a researcher to create a impactful research, you need a peace of mind. For example, in some European countries, they divided research into different categories. And for fundamental basic research that seek questions to solve, for example, after 40 years or 50 years, they do not ask them to go for impactful research. For example, when you think about Einstein or Newton or any other scientist, they focus on the research problem that created impact after 40 years or 50 years or 60 years. Similarly, there is a category of research, scientific research, in which you directly interact with the industry. And when you directly interact with the industry or the society, your research creates impact that can be seen, let's say, in 1 year or 2 years. And then there is the
Okay.
research type of research in which you can see the impact after 5 years or 10 years. For example, the researchers that are now working on 6G, that 6G technology can be realized after 5 years or 6 years or 10 years. So, you need to
Yes.
differentiate between different kinds of scientists and researchers, and you cannot uh, ask the same level of productivity impact from these categories. So uh, in developed countries, in US, in Canada, in other European countries, they have achieved to a certain level of research in their society. Now when they ask their researchers and scientists that show the impact, then they can show. But in our country, uh, we uh, uh, we are missing, we are lacking a lot. Let me give you an example. For example, if you look at the Nobel Prize winners of physics in the domain of physics, and you gather the statistics from 2000, from the last 15 years, okay, and
Okay.
see who are the researchers or scientists who won Nobel Prize in physics, and then you see what kind of research they conducted, and then you see where they published. Okay, because whatever research, whatever scientific invention they did, based upon which they received the Nobel Prize, that has been published somewhere. Now you
Yes.
will find that 50% of the Nobel Prize winners publish in four journals in the domain of physics. Now
Okay.
it means that if we want to receive a Nobel Prize in the domain of physics, we try to publish in those four scientific journals. And when you compare UK, US, Canada, or other European countries, their physicists who are working in the domain of physics, they try to publish in those journals. But in our country, we even don't know the name of those journals. So how we can
Okay.
publish in those venues? There are some exceptional names like Professor Parvez Hoodbhai, who had the chance to
Yes.
publish in those venues. But except those, there are none of those scientists and researchers who publish in those venues. So in Pakistan, there is a lot of potential. There is a lot of uh, potential of research. But the thing is, we need to uh, focus and work on those international venues. Okay.
Okay, that's a very good insight from you, Dr. Mubashir, and it's really surprising for us to actually know that they like we are even at this age or even in this fast-growing era, we are not able to actually set our direction in a way that we can even compete with those physicists, as you have mentioned, apart from few names. But I have a question here, like you have been a part of Pakistan as a faculty as well. So, do you think that in Pakistan the research is being done for the sake of like only publish impact factor, or is it just a like a hoax actually?
Yes. So basically, according to Higher Education Commission, uh, a research paper is required to acquire a PhD degree. Okay, they
Mhm.
have tied the PhD degree with the requirement of one research article. Now, they Higher Education Commission have their own ranking of the journals. However,
Mhm.
internationally, the whole world has a different uh, way of judging or identifying the top journals. So we are not following that ranking of the journals. So first we need to set our direction, and we need to adopt that ranking of journals that is accepted worldwide. That is
Mhm.
Clarivate. Clarivate issues the impact factor journal, and these are the journals. They are around 20,000 journals that are recognized internationally by the international scientific community. uh,
Mhm.
Nobel Prize winners and world top researchers, they publish in those journals. Now, in every field of science, there is a ranking of journals. For example,
Mhm.
in the domain of computer science, there is rank number one journal, rank number two, and then there are hundreds of journals in computer science. Now, HEC treats all the journal equally. So let's
Okay.
say if a researcher is there in Pakistan and working on a research problem, and then they spend 2 years or 3 years in finding the solution of that problem, and then able to publish in a top ranked journal of computer science, let's say IEEE transactions on networking, then it may require 2 years or 3 years, and it has a good impact factor. Okay,
Mhm.
you can see they require 3 years of effort at least to publish a single paper in that journal. Now, on the
Okay.
other hand, there is another researcher who just paid 1 lakh rupees, Pakistani rupees, or 2 lakh rupees and publish in a journal which published their
Mhm.
results in a month. And
Okay.
HEC treats, unfortunately, both journals equally. So this is the problem. You need to follow the international ranking of the journals, and you need to give weightage to those researchers which are really doing conducting the research, and they are publishing their research in top rank impact factor journals. So you cannot ignore impact factor. So what they are trying to do, they are trying to equally weight all these journals, which I think is not fair for a researcher. You can imagine that if someone is an assistant professor and try to become a professor, then they publish in, let's say, open access journals where they can publish with money and easily. Okay, and on the other hand, there is a researcher which publish in 3 years or 4 years a single paper and in top ranked journal, internationally recognized journal, and they have very less publication. So how you will equate both of them?
Both of
And
them. Very true.
this is an issue.
This is very true. So if we like summarize it, so you meant to say like we as a nation are living in our own dreams land where we think we are doing things in a very good way, but actually we are far behind from reality, like where the world is progressing actually. So this is, I guess, a very good finding which you have actually helped our audiences to understand like where we are lacking as a researcher. So connected to the same question, like in context to the previous question I have asked, like as you have explained initially, the scientific development or the basic scientific development concept papers or the research papers are different. And similarly, if we talk about the industrial aspect of the research, so this is a different category. So my question will be like again, as a short-term strategy, what do you think is more preferable for a country like Pakistan? Obviously, our industry as of now is far behind from the progressive nations. We are suffering economically. We are suffering in terms of achieving the good economic indicators. So, do you think that research can actually play its role to actually balance the Pakistan situation in a way so it can start progressing as a tech leader, or maybe as IT leader, or in any capacity you can say?
First, if we let the researchers and scientists to focus on their area of research, and if
Mhm,
we enable such an environment in which they are successfully able to publish in top ranked journals, then they can contribute to the society, to the economic development and economic development of the country, Pakistan. Now the issue is that when we ask and talk and look at the researcher or scientist, we we try to ask him or her what he has done for their local area, whether he
mhm,
has developed a new road or any other thing locally. That should
mhm,
not be the criteria. We
mhm,
should ask researchers and scientists what they have done in their domain. Okay, and there are some international criteria for evaluating the performance of researchers and scientists. If we evaluate researchers and scientists based upon what they have done, for example, in the creation of buildings or municipal work or development of roads or bridges, that is not the not the correct criteria to evaluate the researchers.
mhm,
We should ask them what research problem they have addressed and what were their solutions and where they were able to publish. That should be the criteria, and how their research contributes to the teaching and development, teaching and learning in the universities. Okay,
mhm,
how they transfer that same critical thinking, knowledge, and research in their teaching side. Teaching and research, teaching and learning and research cannot be isolated. So
mhm,
whatever a researcher or professor doing research, they need to translate it into their teaching and learning in their universities, and they need to equip their students with the state of the art research knowledge. So if you look at uh, in the context of Pakistan, how we can achieve, I think we should focus on uh, excellence in scientific research. We should not look for a quick outcome, because we
mhm,
cannot just say uh, with a single click we cannot say that we should have hundreds of Nobel Prize winners. We cannot. It requires 20 years, 30 years of investment, of intellectual and scientific investment. Let me give you an example. In Pakistan, currently
mhm.
we don't have any researcher or scientist who receive Nobel Prize working inside Pakistan. On the other hand, if you look at University of Cambridge, alone they have
Mhm.
around more than 50 Nobel Prize winners just alone from a single university.
Okay.
So you can imagine the level of one university and the whole country.
Okay.
Similarly, uh, the focus of universities should be
Mhm.
on teaching, learning, research, not on just temporary skills. Okay. Definitely, I'm not against equipping students with the skills, programming skills or graphic designing or whatever. But if you want to compete internationally as a country, as a nation, with US or with Canada or with other European countries, we need to focus on the fundamental scientific research, and we need to develop such minds which do not just go and focus on earning money. Instead, they should focus on the basic scientific research. That should be the pathway, and it requires a
Yes.
lot of effort.
Okay, so thank you very much for your input. Now, coming to the next question, like generally a youth of Pakistan spends 14 years of education, his or her education from schooling to colleges, and then he or she joins the local university, let's say. So they have not been given this exposure which you are talking about. Like if we talk about Cambridge and compare it to any Pakistan's university, the student of initial semester has no competition with the exposure the Cambridge student has. So, do you think like schools and colleges can actually play their role in bridging this mind development gap, like the way our mind has patterns, we are not thinking about excellence as you have explained. The way our minds have pattern, we do not think about like basic scientific development or research. So do you think like apart from universities, yes, higher education institutions have a vital role in developing the right economic situation for a country, but how actually schools can act as a nurseries, which can actually help universities in one way or other
Yes. So basically,
by like giving them the right mindset.
you cannot isolate primary or fundamental education from the higher education. The
Hmm.
this is a continuous stream of students who will be feed into the higher education sector. So you need to focus on the primary education as well. It cannot be possible that in the primary education you are not focusing on creating critical thinking among the students, and then suddenly in the higher education sector you are going to compete with world top ranked universities, or try to expect some critical thinking, extraordinary critical thinking. You need to focus on primary education as well. So we have some well established work in the context of primary education. There is a need to first bring those children which are far away from attending schools and enter into the schooling sector. And then we need to focus on critical thinking instead of the rata system. Instead of memorizing, we need to focus
Yes.
on critical thinking at the primary level education. uh, and there has been a lot of work done in this context in Pakistan. So there's a need to implement that in real sense, and then with that stream entering into the higher education, we can see some productivity, hopefully.
So what do you think are the low hanging fruits, like working or putting a lot of investment directly into the higher education system, or we actually start doing the efforts from the like from these primary graders, as you have said that they cannot be inserted into a streamline which is totally new to them and we expect that they can do wonders. No, it should be like a proper streamlining of students right from the early years still going into the higher education system, because there has been a very good concern from the universities actually in Pakistan. They said, look, we have a 4 years of time period and we cannot do a lot of work on a student who has learned more than 75% of his you can say lifetime experiences or learnings that he or she will be doing in the life. So they have a very good thing to say. We are left with a 25% of the learning curve and what we can do in the short period of time duration. So how do you respond to that?
Basically, the solution is not to provide a lot of funds to the higher education sector. You know, uh, in my opinion, we have a lot of resources in the existing universities.
Hmm.
University is the combination of infrastructure, resources, and the people. So,
Yes.
in some domains of science, you don't need a lot of resources. For example, in
Hmm.
computer science, you don't need a lot of resources to conduct your international level of research. In telecommunication, you don't need a lot of resources. Okay, you just need
Hmm.
uh, an office and few resources, and then you can do a top level of research. So instead of just blaming the government or higher education sector or other people, if we just realize our own potential and focus on what is my responsibility, instead of just blaming others or government, or asking for a lot of funds, what I am doing with my current resources. Am I doing research just for the sake of research, or just for the publishing of research papers, or am I producing good quality students in terms of teaching and learning, or am I doing research which is being recognized, internationally recognized? So
Hmm.
I think uh, the issue is not with the funding or resources. The issue is with myself, with ourselves. We need to make our intentions good. We need to focus on that. We should not compromise at any stage, and we should focus on the betterment of our society, of our country, and we should work hard in our field. And then if everyone in the university sector, they try to think in that manner, then ultimately we will produce some good results. Let me give you an example. For example, if in a university is composed of two things: infrastructure and people. If you provide lot of infrastructure, lot of money into a higher education sector in Pakistan, and the people are still not capable, okay, then all those resources will be wasted. But
Yes.
let's say if you don't have the resources and you have a capable people, then they will try to catch up, but they cannot fully utilize their potential. So there need to be in some investment on the resources and enabling environment, as well as more focus should be given to the person itself. We need to
Yes.
ourselves improve and compete with the international world.
Okay, so that's I believe it was a crux of the whole discussion, that obviously resources is something which we need, but we cannot just blame that we are lack of we lack resources. Obviously, we have the mindset. We need to work on it and actually utilize the resources in a very you can say smart way, that we can make the impact both socially and economically. So it is very rightly said. So, Dr. Saab, like we are heading toward the conclusion of this session. So my I would say request from you is to give three different advices to three different segments. Number one, the youth of Pakistan. Number two, the educationist sector, those who are actually even on their own or they are associated with certain entities, they are providing the education to the masses. The third one, the key stakeholders or the decision makers of our educational system. What are the advices to these three streamlines?
So for the young generation or young youth, I will suggest that do not spend too much time on the social media. Instead,
Mhm.
focus on their education that they are currently acquiring. For example, if they are doing bachelor's in any scientific area, try to understand the courses over there. Try to understand the philosophy behind all the courses, and try to become excel in that area. And try to do not impress with the with people who are intimating you towards lot of money on social media influencers. Do not spend too much
Mhm.
time on social media.
Very
Instead,
well said.
focus on your core education and try to become excel. So this is the message for the young generation or youth of Pakistan. For the educationist for the researchers or scientists, my fellows, uh, uh, I have been working there in Pakistan as well, and I clearly understand what are the challenges. And I will suggest that uh, let's try to focus on our own work, and we can do as much as we can, and hopefully the things will be better. If we just uh, 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 lessen our hope and do not uh, work with strength, then everything will be in a bad direction. So we need to gather our energy and focus on our own self and try to do as much as we can. And for the government sector and for the policymakers, well, there have been lot of studies, a lot of policy decision, data already available in front of government. The need is to implement it. So I can just request the higher education authorities or policymakers to facilitate our researchers and scientists in the education sector, in particular in the higher education sector. Recently, they have been suffering a lot in terms of their salary scales, or as I explained you, um, there are some issues, and everybody knows what are those issues. So if government focus on resolving those issues by taking the stakeholders into confidence, then hopefully things will be much more better.
Yes, obviously, like peace of mind is obviously linked with all the things that you have explained. And I believe these were the very wonderful advice, especially for the youth, that we have to certainly decide our focus, and then we have to be more like critical thinkers rather than being a very normal person, just like any other person. We have to actually make a difference, and we have to realize that it is ourselves that are going to make a difference for our country, inshallah. Dr. Sab, so as we have a question from one of the viewers, and she is Miss Muhtashma Habib. Her question is basically related to like why schools are actually not able to produce the children's for the real world problems. Like
Uh,
where A grade student working for the C grade students in university. Like if I'm not wrong, like he says that real world is the world of competition, entrepreneurship, and business, where a graduate student working for where A graduate student working for the C graduate students in industry.
well, we cannot expect a school going student to solve real world problems. Okay,
Mhm.
we can develop some level of critical thinking, but it is the responsibility of researchers and scientists to solve and to work on those real world research problems or scientific problems. So for a school going student or for a college going student, or a starter of uh, you know uh, university, we should expect that how they are performing in their own studies. Why we are asking that every student of the university should become a business owner? Okay,
Mhm.
we should not enforce. If we look at Harvard or MIT, when they say that they are going for business oriented minds, or they are asking, they have a long history of uh, hundreds of years of investment in the minds of the people, and we take this outcome from there and we try to implement it at our level. That I think is
Yes.
not fair. We need to invest on the critical thinking of the kids, of the school going students, of the university students, and we need to wait for lot of years, then uh, things will happen.
Okay, so thank you very much. So yes, like patience is a key. So, Dr. Sab, the very last question, and then we will inshallah end this and the today's session. Uh, what do you believe? We have to focus on 1% or 100%?
Further, your question.
Okay, so my question, like, we have to focus on like 1% of the talent, or we have to like find out that 1% of the talent, or it should be like, no, we should go for the mass execution and look for like do our experimentation on the 100% and then expect 1% out of it, like as a short-term strategy.
Well, it's not like just focus on 1%, or on the masses. We should focus on both aspects. Okay,
Okay.
we should have policies that are for masses. Okay, and we should have also some specialized focus on those the talented people. So then and only then we can continue.
Okay, so you have opted out for the hybrid model that we should equally focus on both of the, you can say, the segments to actually deal them in a very right way. So, Dr. Saab, thank you very much. It was really a pleasure to have you with us on Robotmea webinar series. And obviously, not only us, the whole country, the whole audiences have learned a lot, even our giving their like right perception to the whole world as well about the Pakistan and how we can actually improve these societies. Once we are discussing about the development countries, so I believe it was a really helpful and a wonderful session. We are very much thankful to you that you have spared the time from your very tough routine, and we hope so we will continue these session for the development of our youth faculties, and not for two of them but also for the key decision makers as well, so they can actually be benefited from your insights and the exposure that you have. Thank you very much to our audiences as well that they have been in touch with us throughout the session. We are highly thankful to you. Thank you very much. Allah Hafiz, signing off.
Thank you so much, Noman and Robotmea team. Thank you so much. Have a
Thank
good
you
day.
very much, sir.
Take
Thank you
care.
very much, sir.
Bye.
Allah Hafiz.
Bye.
Have a good
Allah
day.
Hafiz.